everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. So obviously I'm filming the intro and outro. It's not a word, but it is now, after the fact, but that's just the way it happens sometimes. It's been a hot minute since I posted everything or anything. Obviously we just had the 4th of July weekend and we were out of town, as we usually are, on one of my favorite camping trips each year. We go up off of the North Umpqua in one of the tributaries up there. And it's really, really nice. This year was unseasonably cool, but it wasn't so cool we couldn't enjoy ourselves. It was cool enough that I didn't have to burn 10 gallons of gas in the generator to keep the pet rabbit from dying in the trailer so that I could run the air conditioner like we did last year. So that was actually pretty good stuff. So anyway, I didn't get a lot of footage. I did record. What we're going to look at first is the trip up the North Umpqua, basically from Glide. No, excuse me. It's west of Roseburg. Let's say 7 miles, 6-7 miles. You get in the foothills as you're heading out. And we get into a pretty serious burn scar. So yeah, that's what we're going to take a look at first, and then it's a little bit of video footage from in the campground and walking down to the swimming hole. It's not a lot, but for those of you that enjoy seeing some scenery from a part of the country that maybe you don't get to see, this video is for you. Okay, I was wrong. This is actually the east side of Roseburg. You're pretty much on the outskirts as you're cruising through here. And you can see as we, when we left the Rogue Valley, sunny, shaping up to be a nice hot day. We got down around Canyonville, and all of a sudden we hit this bank of clouds that looks like this. And I'm like, oh man. I mean, I knew we were in for some cooler weather, but I thought, geez, if the swimming hole's going to be clouded in like this, we're in a little bit of doo-doo, but that's okay. That's okay. We actually drive out of that. You guys will see it a little bit later. These foothills are pretty damn dry. Up here out of Roseburg, typically it is not as dry, but man, yeah. It's amazing what a few 90 and 100 degree days will do to the grass here in Oregon. But it is what it is. You just make the most of it. So, again, cruising through these foothills, they're very similar to what's down in the Medford area. A lot of oak, a little bit of maple, some ponderosa pine, and it's pretty much this way until you get to Glide. And we aren't too terribly far out of Glide, but watching a fast forward of driving through foothills, that isn't the most exhilarating thing on the planet. So I'm going to go ahead and skip it. Okay, so we're just about to get into Glide. This is where the two forks of the Umpqua, north and south, come together right at that bridge there. They call it, I believe, Colliding Rivers Viewpoint. Glide is what's left of a little logging town. Yeah, there's a lot of them in Oregon that have just kind of dried up and gone away with the timber industry. The old mill would have been on the left right there. Nothing you guys can see. It's basically just an old industrial yard now. And here we're going over the North Umpqua, and you can see the clouds are all of a sudden breaking up, and there's some blue sky again, and oh, is that an amazing thing to see. Makes me quite happy. And this is where it starts to transition from foothills into low-level forest. It's not the Umpqua National Forest just yet, but what we're going to come up on here is a fairly serious burn zone. And that burn zone was from, there's been multiple burns up here. It's not unheard of at all, but this big nasty one occurred in 2020 when the rest of Oregon was on fire. And this particular burn, again, started very close to where we camp. No, it was not me. I did not do it. I believe it was a lightning strike, and if it wasn't a lightning strike, it was one of the utility issues that have been known to happen around the state. So it started well to the east of Glide and burned almost to Glide. At one point, there was a very real possibility the town could have gone. This area is starting to come back, but again, we're 4 years out. No, 5 years out from that burn. And all these old snags are still there. For the first couple of years driving through here, this looked like a moonscape. It had burned so damned hot that it took out all of the underbrush, just destroyed, and it was slow to come back. And you can see it was so hot, it burned right down to the damn water. I mean, again, not unheard of, but also not overly common. So, pretty nasty when you get a strange east wind like we had that year that just torches, and, you know, it's like a giant bellows, and it just keeps it going. Some of these houses along the road here, the firefighters were able to save. So there's a little island of trees around them. A little further up the road, there's a campground at Bogus Creek that was just completely obliterated. People were able to evacuate, but several trailers and cars were not able to get out of there in time, and they were just incinerated. There's no other word for it. We just passed the Susan Creek Day Use area, and the hike up to the left, that would be to the north, Susan Creek Falls. That area all burned. Thankfully, we hiked it, I think, the year before it burned. So I haven't gone back up there yet, and I guess someday I'll have to. But like I say, it's kind of disconcerting. I remember this area very, very differently. Very differently, you know, before this burn. We just entered the National Forest, Umpqua National Forest here. And again, if it wasn't for the fire, we'd be in a mix of ponderosa, Douglas fir, and the maple that likes to grow along here. And you can see that at this point, the fire was largely contained on the north side of the highway, the left side. Not all of it, but again, there's been more than one burn up here, so I know I get kind of preachy at times when I'm talking about spark arresters in chainsaws and, you know, on equipment, and I have a hesitancy towards certain muffler mods that delete those. This is why. It wasn't a chainsaw that caused this fire, but we've had instances of that, especially a saw that has some carbon in it. And, you know, all it takes is one hot chunk to blow out into some dry pine needles or dry leaves, and unfortunately, this is exactly what you get. So, yeah, I don't know. We're really close to the epicenter of it, right, or the start of it right now, and you can just see how devastating it was. As I've been sitting here flapping my gums, we've covered nearly, I would say at this point, we've probably gone a good 12, 13 miles out of Glide, maybe a little bit more, and we're still in that freaking burn scar. It's just utterly phenomenal how much damage was done so quickly. Span of a couple days. I mean, it lasted for weeks, but the worst of the damage was done in that first couple of days. So, yeah, again, I try not to get too preachy in my videos, but wildfire, it means something. It really does. This area will never be the same, not in my lifetime. I think we just passed the Steamboat Inn, which is well known for, yes, for its steelhead expeditions. We've just gotten off the main highway, and we are almost to our destination. We're leaving camp. Head down to the water. Typical Oregon fashion. Thursday when we got here was somewhat nice. Yesterday was much cooler than normal. I think we might have hit 76, 77 degrees up here. Last year, it was 90 something. You just don't know what you're going to get. But we were basically between the North Umpqua. Go that way for a long ways and you'll get to Cottage Grove. Go this way for a long less distance and you'll get back down to the Umpqua. And eventually back down to Roseburg, or go to Diamond Lake, either way. Very, very scenic and beautiful. Another area that hasn't been logged, but it's another one of those false corridors, because that ridge right up there, it's got a good active logging operation, and then up the hill above the campground a little ways. Say, Oregon's good at least concealing what's going on. So if you're just driving through, it's still pretty scenic. Healthy crop of poison oak. I don't know how many people realize, but they will. Yeah, the leaves of 3 that have almost a waxy appearance to them, that's all poison oak. First swimming hole's down there. That's kind of the bunny hill, so to speak. It's nice. If you want to go down and wet your toes after dinner at night, that's a really good one. But the main event is down the road here a little ways. I'm going to call it 1/8 of a mile from camp. That's just a pure guesstimate. It could be right, it could be wrong. I don't really care. A 5-minute walk gets you to the swimming hole. Afford people their privacy down there. This is the other side of the bridge, heading down towards where we're going to be. This is about a 1 1/4 lane road with enough pullouts that, knock on wood, I haven't run into anybody yet. But we're about 4 miles up off of 138, the main Diamond Lake Highway. And I will say that if I met somebody on, say, that narrow bridge we just walked across, while I'm towing the trailer, whoever it is, unless their trailer's bigger than mine, they're going to be the one that backs up and gets the hell out of the way. So you can see blank spot in the trees up there. That's where that leg of the logging road runs up. We were on the ridge behind me the other day, just cutting a little bit of firewood for the camp, and yeah, you could see that whole hillside had been scalped pretty good. I was always under the impression that this campground is in the Umpqua National Forest, but it's just right on the very edge of it. Therefore, being BLM administered, and yes, that's the Bureau of Land Management, not the new meaning of BLM, or new acronym, whatever you want to say. The original BLM, Bureau of Land Management. We're down in Medford. That area of the Rogue Valley is drier than a popcorn fart right now. You guys can see just how green and lush everything still is up here, including those berry vines that want to reach out and grab you. Alright, here is the start of that swimming hole. The creek meanders its way down, picks up a little speed, and if this camera is worth even half of what I paid for it, you guys can see those deep pools that have formed down there. Mix of glacial and volcanic. So the rock reflects the hot summer sun really nicely. Now, I'd be a damn liar if I said that water is warm. But, that being said, it's also not glacial. So, a day like today, not too bad. If it was 15 degrees warmer, downright refreshing. The Pacific Northwest is littered with spots like this. That's an old outhouse that God knows how long it's been abandoned and out of use. There was even a pumping station in here. Some of the old piping is still evident down at the water. In fact, it's the hand grip to get up out of the water. You doing okay? That's how green and lush it stays up here. The moss on that stump will never die. And these sword ferns will stay green all year round. And this little kind of scrub maple, I'm sure it has a name other than that, but that's what I call it. Vine maple, maybe? I don't know. Somebody does a good job of keeping the poison oak off of this little trail down to the water, which is much appreciated. And here it is. Way up right about there, all the way down through. There's my minions, their uncle. All right. I am at the moment, but I'm not gonna for long. I'm wearing my swimsuit. Well, yeah. Somewhere about 8 or 9 feet deep right there. A good cannonball with a chunk like me, you can touch bottom, but you'd have to work to hurt yourself. It is flippin' amazing. And again, thankfully, there's a nice barrier of trees all along. So, beautiful spot. I'm going swimming. Okay, that's all I had. I know it's fairly short. Hopefully I didn't get too preachy in the discussion about the burn area. I don't know. It's something that I don't know what the right word is. Stuff bugs me, and things that we as humans can fix that we choose not to fix kind of really bug me a lot. There's so much about forest management that we could all do better. And it's not about It's not just about logging or not logging. It's not just about that. There's so much more to it. There's so much nuance. I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever get it right, but it is heartbreaking to drive through a freshly burned area that's that big and remember what it used to look like and know that it'll never look like that again in your lifetime. So that's where I look at when we go up there. I remember the big maples and the Douglas fir as it transitioned. That is almost a rainforest. Well, was almost a rainforest through there. Not quite. We're on the wrong side of the Coast Range for that, the Coast Range Mountains, but still, that area is a bit of a weather channel. So, anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed it. Next video, hopefully we'll have something to do with chainsaws. We'll see you then.